Okay, so now we're going to explore how we can treat the back using a variety of different meridian pairs. Now, previously we found out that Shakura has some issues with her lower back and her mid-thoracic, and that they're resonating at the moment with the earth element and with the fire element. We've also found out, by palpating, that the metal element has some resonances for Shakura, but it's more in the background. So let's use Shakura just as a guide to help us explore different ways that we can treat the back using different meridian pairs. So let's start off by working lower back, and I'm going to place my hand right over the area that Shakura feels that weakness. Now, we already discovered that the spleen meridian, the heart meridian, to a lesser extent the stomach, also small intestine, resonate strongly with the back. We've actually got stomach jitsu, stomach and spleen jitsu, and heart and small intestine kyo. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to treat those meridians and see what happens to the feeling in my mother hand. Okay? So it's a slightly awkward technique, and I'm going to use just this type of technique here, just to go into the small intestine meridian. And what I'm doing is selecting out subos that give me a feeling of the lower back strengthening. Okay? Now, of course, what I could also do, if I wanted to use a stretch position, would be to use the Matsunaga small intestine stretch. Actually, that is slightly more effective there. And what I'm doing again is I'm selecting out subos on the small intestine meridian that give me a feeling of the lower back strengthening. Again, I'm assessing all the time, feeling Shakura's lower back to see what's happening. It's a small intestine meridian. Heart meridian is not too accessible, so let's experience and see what happens when we work stomach and spleen. I'm using like a modified dragon's mouth here. I'm working the stomach meridian and the spleen meridian together. And this, although it's the Jitsu meridian, in Shakura's case, it's actually having a very beneficial effect on the lower back. Can you feel that? Does that feel?
Yeah, definitely.
Feels
really warming up.
right. Yeah. So actually, funny enough, this seems to be the most effective. So let's put in some points. Well, the obvious one is stomach 36. Let's just see what happens. Wow. Yep, that does feel good.
I can feel it through my whole body.
The stomach 36. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Now that's really good feedback because the stomach and spleen meridian hold up the energy in the body, and that's a very important function of the whole spine. So stomach 36 is a very good point. What we might also like to try is when we get down there, and we're stretching the technique a little bit here, which we might just want to just work spleen 3. Let's see if I can get that into a good position. How does that feel like?
Yeah, I can feel that running like on the inside.
Along the centre? Yeah. Yeah. And that's the function of spleen 3. It's a very powerful point for earth-related weakness in the spine. Okay, so there's just a couple of ideas for working the small intestine and the earth element. And now we could go into Shakura's upper body and work Okay, so now let's explore how we can work the heart and small intestine meridian and the stomach and spleen meridian and treat Shakura's upper back. Okay, well, we can come around here, we can lift up her arm, and again, sliding my hand underneath, I can place my mother hand right over that tense area that she's feeling in the mid-thoracic. Okay, so now let's just try, and what I'm doing here is I'm working the stomach meridian and the spleen meridian. And here I'm working the stomach again, spleen meridian is here. And now I'm switching to the heart meridian. Okay, we can work the heart meridian through here. I'm connecting my two hands through her thoracic area. And now we can start using some points on the meridians. I'm going to just try heart 1 first of all. So I'm just using my this part of my hand here just to gently press into heart 1, and I'm tuning into the other hand. Wow. Okay, how does that feel?
Yeah, it just feels everything's expanding.
Yeah.
Opening up.
Yeah, terrific point. I can feel underneath my hand. I can feel just releasing that tension, releasing. Okay, so that's heart 1. Yeah, I can feel it expanding. Can you feel that, Shakura?
Yeah, I can really feel it expanding on my upper thoracic.
Yeah, that's great. Really good point. Okay, now coming down here. Keeping the position, I'm going to use a slightly advanced technique. I'm just gently working the heart meridian like this so that I can maintain my connection with the upper. Okay, we have heart 3. Another very good point. My thumb here, I'm holding that point. Maybe not quite as strong as heart 1. What do you think?
Yeah, not
quite so
not
strong.
quite so strong.
Still good though, yeah. Okay, and then down. Just basically assessing the point. Let's just see heart 7. Oh, yeah. Okay. Again, a little bit like heart 3, so I'm going to see if I can. Yeah. Okay. And then we can also go here. I'm just going to, again, a little bit of an advanced technique going up here into small intestine 9 and 10. I'm on small intestine 10 now. What does that feel like?
Yeah, it's more all the way down my back now.
Yeah. Great, yeah. I can feel it actually. I can feel it more on the small intestine channel, more like slightly more lateral, releasing. So I'm thinking ahead now to possible distal points. Let's just see what happens. Okay, small intestine 5 and small intestine 3. Yeah, it's a very nice release. Okay, great. So that's a really good example of how we can use meridians we may not necessarily have thought of to release the upper back. Now, we've talked about the fire meridians, we've talked about the earth meridian, so we've just got lung and large intestine. I'll just place my hand a little bit further up the thoracic. We can obviously use lung. These are just some ideas. We can obviously use lung 2 and lung 1. Yeah, that's opening up the upper thoracic more. You can use some large intestine points. Obvious ones being large intestine, say 11, let's just see, or 10.
Yeah, it feels strong.
Yeah. And of course, we can always try large intestine 4, great point for releasing. Okay. So we're going to go through all the distal points in a comprehensive way within the course, but just for demonstration purposes, there's just a few ideas that we can use. The combination's really infinite, that's the thing, we're using this system, and it's really based on palpation and direct experience of the subos. So there we have it. Just one other thing I'd like to mention is working the lower back using large intestine. We could use this technique, again going into rotation. And in this instance I'm actually zeroing in on the large intestine U point, which is often the focus for large intestine related lower back weakness. And then with this technique what I'm doing is I'm selecting the subos out, selecting the subos on the large intestine meridian. I'm just going to see if I can find the best point. I think it's somewhere here. Something like that. Can you feel that one?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And then I can feel the energy strengthening underneath my hand there, just with that subo there, that one subo on Masnaga's large intestine meridian. Okay, so that's a range of ideas amongst an infinite set of possibilities for working the back using those 3 pairs of meridians.